We love Imperial Cafe, but we went to a different one thinking we'd get in quicker.
Was it
Yeah,
any
you probably did.
We went to, was it Main Garden we went to? Way out on Barksdale Highway, across from the
Yeah.
city. It probably wasn't as good, but we didn't care. I mean, you know, an egg roll's an egg roll.
They were really crowded. Me and David Gross went to pick it up and the parking lot was just packed. I mean, the whole
My place was empty.
We should have tried that.
That tells you who's better.
Probably a better dinner than I think on New Year's. We were so excited to cook a lot, and then we ended up having frozen pizza.
Oh.
We cooked a lot though. I made a whole curry, and he made brownies lately. So like we cook a lot, but for some reason we were on New Year's. It was a frozen.
Yeah, I saw the caramel brownies. How'd those
Oh
come
my
out?
God, so good.
Yeah.
Well, you stay slim and trim.
Yeah.
Despite the caramel brownies. All right. Quick question for everybody. I realized that I said it was a 10-week class and didn't put a 10th week on the calendar. So I'm happy we're gonna finish off all the stuff that we need to learn today. I'm happy to teach another class next week if you're up for it. I won't be offended if not, but I'm happy to teach next week. Would y'all be able to make it for next week? Would you be interested?
I'm sure I could make it. You know, it's up to the majority.
Yes.
So I'll be here at 7 next Tuesday then.
Okay.
And we'll learn some vocabulary. We'll learn some of the prayers, some of the words that you might find in Hebrew prayers, more than just learning how to read. Right. So from practice this past week, any questions before we dive in?
Practice much.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to spend our first couple of minutes practicing then. So
I thought that teach yourself how to read Hebrew. It's really actually very good.
you finally bought that book?
Yeah. It's a small little book, but it's good.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's a different methodology for teaching than we did in this class. So it's a good way to go back over things.
Yeah, I don't think I could have done it by itself, but
Harriet,
Yes.
who was
Yes.
the name of that book that you showed last week? I was a minute late and I didn't catch the title of it.
It's called A Reading and Prayer Primer. My brother married somebody that wasn't Jewish, and many years ago they were, she was learning trying to learn Hebrew also. So this is what they were using, and he sent me a book, and it's I think it's very good.
Let me put what I'm going to do. I'm going to put
Khalid. Tell her what it is.
I'm going to put this a reading and prayer primer in the chat.
Hold it up
Yeah,
closer to the camera, Harriet.
yeah.
Also, I'm going to share the screen because I just pulled it up online.
Reading and prayer primers.
Ah.
Okay,
This one.
thank you.
This is the one that
that's what
Harriet's
Harriet's got.
using.
Oh, okay.
And another one that I really like is Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I
the
have
one I
that book.
got.
Yeah.
I have that book.
Yeah.
This one's nice, and you also have it in the audiobook, so that it also sells it in the audiobook format. So you can listen to it along with the book if you need to hear it. And with any of these, if you are having trouble figuring out what it's saying, and you want to double check, I'm happy to get on the phone with you and to go over the Hebrew or to make some recordings. Another book that I often teach, prayer book, Hebrew, the easy way. This is also if you want to look further at not just how to read Hebrew, but how to, but what it means, what it means in the Siddur, Prayer Book Hebrew the Easy Way is really a wonderful book, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And so I've taught that before, and I'm happy to either teach it again or for you to learn on your own. But I'm going to put these two, the Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew and the one that Harriet had in the chat.
Hey, Dorothy, I think the prayer book Hebrew the Easy Way, didn't Rabbi Jana have that up on either a bulletin or an email or something?
I have no idea. She might have, but I have it. I don't even know where it came from.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
done.
not
Okay,
sure.
'cause the cover of it looks familiar.
I don't know.
I'm
I
actually
just showed
going
it
to
to
take
him,
you
so you
to,
printed it
I'm
off
going to
the
take you
internet.
to
That's
her
right.
website actually right now because she does have it on her book. So this is Rabbi Jana's Hebrew doc page. She has a lot of ways to practice Hebrew on here. If you click on liturgical Hebrew, she actually has photocopied the first 8 chapters of Prayer Book Hebrew the Easy Way. So just for example,
What's liturgical mean?
liturgical means from the prayer book.
Oh, okay.
So it's just basically teaching you not just how to read the prayers, but what the grammar behind it. And that's actually what I'm teaching my Hebrew school students right now, is from Prayer Book Hebrew the Easy Way. So let's see, Prayer Book Hebrew the Easy Way.
Okay.
So I'm putting all this stuff in chat. And so that should be good for next steps. Also, I'll show you one more that I really like, but I think that it's hard to learn on your own. I think this is a lot easier to learn, in a class. But again, at some point in time, happy to teach this. First Hebrew Primer.
Say you're fine.
Yeah.
This is really a wonderful book, First Hebrew Primer. And this is biblical Hebrew. Not an easy book. It really takes, this is what I used to learn biblical Hebrew my first semester of college. And really, it's really thorough, especially if you're really into grammar and linguistics. It's wonderful at all of the details, not just what you need to know, but why. So those are books that I find to be really helpful. And while we're doing resources, I'll show you one more that's a little bit different. We have our online Hebrew dictionary. There is a difference between looking on Google Translate and between looking on morphix.co.il. On morphix.co.il, it will tell you, if you've got a verb, it'll tell you what the root of that verb is. So what's a good verb for us to look up? Or any word, what's a good word in English for us to look up in Hebrew?
Happy.
Happy, perfect. Happy. Okay. So if we want to look up what happy is in Hebrew, Morphix will take us to this page. And this is going to be the word here. Here we go. And we're going to learn how to read this word because it's a hard word to read. We're going to learn that today. But the word for happy is sameach. But what it doesn't tell you is that if you're a female, happy would be smecha. So it's a very helpful site, but Google Translate is a little bit more straightforward. But I love it because it's got kind of a wider base of translation. All right, so and you can also look the other way as well. right? If I wanted to look up a word in Hebrew like shalom, I could type shalom in and it would show me the translation. And a bunch of different ways to translate shalom.
English. Shalom.
How do you get the typing to be able to type in Hebrew?
In Hebrew.
Okay, so on a site like Morphix, they actually have a little keyboard here, and then you
Oh,
click in the letters. But offline, it's a longer conversation of how to get that on your computer, and so I'm happy to put together something like a video or something offline or next week. You know what? I'll figure out a good way to describe it for next week, but on each computer it's going to be different.
okay.
My main objective is to be able to follow along during services.
Okay. Well, let's work on that. So when you say main objective to follow along during services, are you saying to be able to read along or to be able to know what's going on?
To read along,
Yeah.
to
And
find my place.
yeah, right. And so a lot of that just takes practice. I think at
Right.
this point, anybody on this screen can open up a prayer book and you can see, you can just see which prayers you know how to read. You know all the steps for how to read. It just, fortunately or unfortunately, takes going over it again and again and again. But today, what I'd like to start out with is, because I heard a couple people say, you know, I don't have so much time to practice this week. Let's start out with a little bit of practice, just with our single and double syllable words. Today,
At least I'm honest.
huh?
Said at least I'm honest.
Yeah, I didn't do anything either.
There we go. Perfect. So the prayer that we're looking at today has some words in Hebrew, but some words in Aramaic. Okay, we're going to look at Kaddish. And Kaddish is written in what was the vernacular a couple thousand years ago. Same lettering as Hebrew, and a lot of the same roots, some of even the same words. But some of the words in here are not going to seem familiar or are not going to seem like Hebrew. All right, so we're going to try to read some of the words from Kaddish, and we're going to start out with some single and double syllable words. All right. So I would love for us to start with Lydia. Can you read number 1?
Sheme.
Great. And Lydia, that was great in that you noticed two things. You noticed first that because you've got that shiva at the first thing in the word, that's a separate syllable. So sheme, 2 syllables. You also noticed that dot in the hey doesn't mean anything.
What is Rabbah?
Know that. All right. And Sandra, can you read number 2?
Abba.
Exactly. Rabbah, right? So again, we know there are 2 syllables because we see 2 vowels. There's no shiva, so that makes it easier. Okay. Dina, can you read number 3?
D.
There you go. Right. 1 syllable because we just see 1 vowel here.
I
Bob,
was looking at the middle one, the middle vowel also though.
aha. So that is not a vowel. That's this is what we call a dagesh. So that's the dot that's in the middle, and it doesn't change anything.
This is Bara. Yeah.
All right. I guess I thought that sounded like ooh. But, so it
So it would sound like ooh if it were, do we have one? So you're thinking about this
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So it only sounds like ooh if it's in a vav.
Oh, okay. So just ignore it if it's in the Is that the dollar, I guess?
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
Is
So then I'm going to skip to number 11. And I'm going to skip to number 11. And Bob, can you read number 11?
Who?
There you go. Right now, you know.
Yeah, okay, made sense. Okay.
Now wait a minute on that one. It almost seems like there's two vowels because the aleph is at the end. Why do you have the aleph at the end if you have this, that V with that makes it a vowel? Like,
So like we said before, like with that hey at the end, Hebrew words like to end with a consonant. So we see that a lot. Like here, the aleph is silent, but it's there because Hebrew words like to end with a consonant. Same thing with D, ends with that yud.
oh,
Ah ends with the aleph.
Oh.
Shemay ends with the hey. Right. So lots of different examples, but Hebrew words like to end with consonants. Also, another point to that too is that Hebrew words really like to end with hey. A hey is, Hebrew words really like to end with hey. We will see in the longer Kaddish that Aramaic words really like to end with an aleph instead of a hey. So we'll notice that if we look at the Kaddish. All right, Dorothy, can you read number 4?
Bara.
Great. Hurrah. Right, so we, again, 2 syllables. And that Shiva is the first syllable. And then Harriet, number 5.
Bait.
Great.
Bait.
And I heard Richard help you out with that one. So Rich we're gonna, because you said number 5, I want to hear just Harriet. Can you try to say number 6?
It's just a silent letter.
Amen.
Rich. It's a name. He just told me that. We have to put something around Rich's mouth.
Or just a pause when it's your turn. But you're right. It's amen. But you got, but you definitely got that. That was you knew that that's what it was. Right. So again, 2 syllables. And main. Okay. How about Lydia? Can you try number 7?
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Right. We've got a lot of these shivas at the very beginning. How about Dorothy, number 8?
Yahey.
Barik.
Great. Again, berich. And this one, we've got 2 shivas here, right? The shiva all the way on the right is its own syllable, and the shiva at the very end just ends the syllable. Okay.
could you say that again, Rabbi? Would you, after everybody says them, could you say them like once more so that we could hear the more than once?
So why don't I start from number 1 and say it really slowly? And
Okay.
I'll start from number 1. And if you're confused as to why it sounds that way, raise your hand and I'll stop.
Okay.
Number 1 is shemay. 2 is rabba. 3 is D.
I'm sorry, what?
3 is D.
D?
Mm-hmm.
The Daled.
Yeah,
D.
D. 4 is, let me erase this so that you don't see it. 4 is vera. 5 is bait. 6 is amen. And 7 is Yehei. Okay. So, and 8 is berich. Yeah. So again, that's 2 syllables because we see this shva starts the word. We know that's a separate syllable. This is a vowel. and this is a syllable ender. Syllable end. So berich. Sandra, can you try number 9?
Min. Min.
Min.
Okay, there we go. And Sandra, I'm going to ask you to do number 10, which is a little bit of a trick question, but
Ball.
not ball. What's that first letter?
Oh, cough.
Mhm.
Call.
Right. So it does look like call. We're going to learn today that when we see this specific word, that's one of those times when we're going to pronounce the kamats as an O. So that one's going to turn into kol.
Oh, you said that last time, but I can't remember.
I did, but it's hard to remember. So we're going to go over that
Hmm.
today. In fact, that's going to be one of the first things that we learn, but it does look like kal. All right. So, and 11 again was who. Okay. So we're going to spend today learning some of those weird rules like kol. And this is what we're going to learn off of is that book again, Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew. This is the very last chapter of the book. So if you like the way that they teach, then hopefully, or then feel free to get the book and use it as practice. All right. So unusual endings. We're going to learn a couple of unusual endings. So we'll start out with this first example on the left side of the page. When the last letter of the word is this letter, and can you tell me what letter this is that I'm circling?
The Tav.
Not a top.
Het.
Chet.
Tav.
No. The chet.
Second, wait a minute. Oh, I don't know where we are. Oh, up here, okay.
The chet.
That's not a T.
It is
Oh, I
not,
see, it doesn't have, I see it, okay. It was little, okay, I see it doesn't have a tail,
yeah, it is very little.
okay.
So the last letter is when the last letter is a chet, and you've got the patach underneath, which makes the ah sound, it flips around. So the combination is pronounced as ach, not cha. So for example, this word here is koach. This word here, ruach, which are words that you might have heard before.
I don't get the difference.
Huh?
I can't hear the difference.
She doesn't get the het with the pata under it, I guess.
I see. Okay, so without, I'll kind of show you the difference. If we didn't have this weird rule, we might think that this would be pronounced as kocha, right? That this would be rucha, right? Because the way that Hebrew works is consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. And then we've got consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. But this combination is one of really, I think, the only situation where it's not the case, where the vowel actually comes before the consonant.
Oh, okay, I see. I get it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's try a few of those words. Lydia, can you read this word here?
Wait. Noach.
There we go. Noach. Who is Noach?
Noah?
Yeah, Noah. Noah is Noah in Hebrew. Okay, nice. All right, and Dorothy, can you read this word?
Shabeach.
Right. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol. And Dorothy Dorothy, you read this already today, or you said this word already today. Let's try.
Sameach.
Yeah, there we go. Sameach. Like Chag Sameach, happy holidays.
Letter.
Okay. Bob, can you try this one?
Mashiach. Mashiach.
Yeah, Mashiach. Which is, anyone know what
Mashiach, yeah.
Mashiach means?
Messiah.
Yeah, it's the Messiah. Mashiach.
Oh,
Right. Dina, how about this one?
Okay. Shaliach. Shaliach?
Yeah, there you go. Shaliach. So it's like a messenger or a representative is a shaliach. So let's try, Sandra, can you try this one?
So Leah,
Really close. What's the vowel underneath the lamed?
A,
There you go.
so Leah.
Yeah, there you go. So leach, which means so leach is like forgiving, I guess, or forgiver. Never heard soleach used in that way, but forgiving or forgiver, forgives, something having to do with forgiveness. Okay. So another weird ending, and we talked about this when we were first starting to learn vowels. When the last vowel of the word of a word is patach, followed by a yud, it turns into I, the I sound, like
Oh, okay. That's where you get the I.
or my, or fly, hi, something like that. Okay, so let's try.
What?
Mhm.
Say, repeat, please, again.
Sure. So when you've got a consonant and then the patach and then a yud, the ending sounds like I.
In the end.
In the end, so it sounds like I. So like this here would be bow tie, and this would be my. And my actually is a word in Hebrew, but it doesn't mean my. Actually, my is not a word in Hebrew. My is a word in Aramaic. My means what. So there's the one area in the Talmud where it talks about Hanukkah. There's a section that starts my Hanukkah. What is Hanukkah? Because the rabbis have no idea what Hanukkah is. They just know that you light lots of candles on it. So my. All right, so let's try. Let's try is another one that ends with like that. Okay, Harriet, can you actually try reading this one?
Chai.
The-
Chai.
I think we'll give it to Rich.
I know it.
Right. But you can say it again, Harriet, just for practice.
Chai.
There you go. Nice. And then how about this one again for Harriet?
That's
Die.
die.
Right. So there's, it's a huge problem with some Israeli immigrant children in that they'll come to school and when they're annoyed with their classmates, they'll tell them die and get sent to the principal's office. I've heard this story happen a lot, but die in Hebrew means enough. So,
Diana.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Dayenu it would have been enough for us. New, when you add new to the end of the word, it means us. So Dayenu is it's enough for us. Right. Okay, so let's try.
Yes, please.
Dorothy, can you read this one?
I lie.
Great. A lie is upon me. Sandra, how about this one?
I need to tell David something.
Oh, sure. Okay. And so Bob, can you try this one?
Which one?
This one, the circle.
Oh, the circle one?
Mhm.
Nai?
There you go, Banai,
No.
my sons. And how about Dina, this one?
Okay, let's see. Vo tie. A bow tie?
Yeah, Avotai,
Ah, avo tie.
my fathers. And oops. Let's try Lydia, this one.
Your thigh,
Azai.
Yep. Say it one more time, Lydia.
thigh,
Yeah, Azai. Good job. And Sandra, I'll circle it in a way that you can actually read it.
Okay,
Don't you see that?
Silent letter, right?
Yeah. A.
That's it.
Nai,
Very close. What's that? What's the vowel underneath the ayin?
A,
There we go. So try it again.
a nay,
So you
a
got
nai.
there we go. Nice. So my eyes. Or my eye. My eye? My eyes. So ayin is an I. Also a letter.
How do you say it, Rabbi? A nine? A nine?
A nai.
A nine. Okay. Thanks.
So that yud doesn't make a noise on its own, like it's not a
It tells you it ends in I.
no, I know.
So when you've got a yud after after these two vowels, after a sigol, it's not gonna be the most graceful sigol, but under a sigol or a sere, then it doesn't make any difference.
Okay. Ooh, it's so hard to remember all that.
Yeah.
You know, it is, except that it's also intuitive. So, like, for example, how would you pronounce it if you didn't know that yud was silent in Einai? How would you pronounce it?
Hey, and I.
Yeah, sounds the same, right?
I guess so.
Same thing, right? So same thing with here. Like, if you didn't know that the yud was silent in shaliach, it wouldn't sound any different. Shaliyach, right? Same thing. Right? Try to say it with a yud. Mashiach.
Yeah.
So it's intuitive. So if it's easier for you to think about the yud as sounding like something, then by all means you can certainly do that. A couple of other strange things about Hebrew. We talked about this for a moment, I think last week, and we talked about it a little bit today. Excuse me. That kol, when you see the word kol, it sounds like kol. When you see the kaf, the kamatz, and the lamed, it's always it's a kamatz katan. It's the one that makes an O sound. It turns into kol. Anyone know what kol means?
see,
Coal midnight. Let's see. Coal. Like a holiday.
Cool,
No,
like Kol Nidre, Kol.
So kol nidre means all of the vows, and so kol means all. Anytime that you see kol in a prayer, it's gonna always mean all of or every. Ha-kol means everything. So you see ha-kol a lot too.
What does
I'm-
nidre mean?
Nidre, so nidarim means vows. And so nidre is a shortened version of nidarim. So kol nidre are all of the vows.
Oh,
So all of kol nidre is about annulling all of the vows that we made in the past year that we weren't able to keep. Right. So if I
Okay.
said, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds this year and I gained 10 instead, I'm annulling my vow that I did that.
Okay.
I thought that came from when they had to pretend not to be Jewish. They had to, like say, become Muslims and hide their Jewishness. I thought that's kind of what they were referring to.
So that might,
The vows you made saying you weren't Jewish.
and that might be one of them. That might be one of the reasons why it was established.
Okay.
And I can certainly look into the history behind that too. But yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
certainly, really, it's meaningful not because of the vows, not because of the little vows that we've made, that we've broken, but
More serious ones.
yeah, the more serious ones.
Hmm.
So two other words that are really important that we see a lot are, right. One is mitzvot,
I can't see that.
and mitzvotav. This one is very weird because if I can
Yeah,
I
can
can-
you magnify that a little bit? Thank you.
kind of do. Okay.
Um,
So let me clear this. Here we go. The word mitzvot, it kind of looks like, how does it kind of look like it's pronounced?
is me
Mitzi, name,
zot.
vo.
Zot.
It kind of looks like
Mitzvot.
it kind of looks like mitzvot, but there are ways that we know that it's not. Right? We know it's not mitzvot. First, because we know that shva on its own in the middle of a word ends a syllable. So we know that the first syllable has to be mitz. And then we know that a vowel can't just start a syllable. And so we know that there has to be some sort of consonant before the O. So it has to be a vav. So the vav is actually a consonant, not over it. So it means vote. Right? It's kind of a weird word, right?
Mitzvot.
Mitzvot. But it's just important to say it because we have it everywhere in our prayers. What are
What's weird about it?
so
And maybe
mitzvot?
you said it before, but a syllable
just
cannot
one
start with a vowel?
Yeah.
And this is not a, that has to be the V.
Syllable,
You can't start with it. Another
a
syllable can't
syllable
start.
in most cases
Yeah.
cannot start with a vowel. It's rather that each consonant, yeah, in most cases, a syllable cannot start with a vowel. One exception that I can think of is at the very beginning of a word, you might have that doesn't look like a vav. You might have an oo at the beginning of the word. And then, because oo means and, but that might be the only exception I can think of. If you've got an oo at the beginning of the word, otherwise, but you're not really gonna have to remember that. Just remember that mitzvot looks like that. Does anyone know what mitzvot means?
Commandment.
Yes.
Yes, commandments, right? Mitzvot is the plural of mitzvah, which means commandment. Right? A mitzvah is not just a good deed, but it's something we're commanded. Okay. Right? So we see this a lot in Asher Kichanu b'mitzvotav. That means his commandments, or really God's commandments, but grammatically his commandments. And this one's weird too, because we have 3 syllables, mitz, vo, tav. So that vav with the dot on it is its own syllable, or the vav with the whole lam is its own syllable. This is another thing to know in Hebrew also, that if you've got a taf and a kamatz, a yud and a vav. That sounds like tav. You might see that also. And again, these are words that don't show up all that often, but you might see that in the word avotav, means my father's. Avotav. You don't see that very often, but just something to know. So when you see asher kidshanu be something, it's probably b'mitzvotav. The easiest way to remember it. All right. So there are a couple words to practice. Here we go. We also might see this word here, which is sivanu. Okay. Same root as mitzvah. Sivanu. Like vitzivanu lahad likner. So a lot of times this is just context, right? We just know the context, and therefore we know that it's pronounced mitzvot or mitzvotav or tzivanu. So I would love a volunteer to read that line at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
It's the big line.
Yeah, Dorothy, you got it?
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Asher Kadeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu.
Y se lo sabe de memoria.
There you go. Asher kitshanu
¿Sabes de memoria?
mitzvotav v'tzivanu, right? So those are words that might be hard to read if we weren't aware of the context. The questions about this page, this unusual endings page we got here. There are some strange things here, but we can definitely do it. Let's try. I want us to try some of the examples here of multi-syllable words and just practice putting some syllables together. And we're just gonna round robin, go around and each try to read one. So Lydia, can you read number 1?
Yes, let me open more here because I don't see
Sure.
it. Let me,
And I
where
can,
is, wait.
Mhm.
Okay. Chinane tam. No?
Okay, very close, but where each of these is its own syllable, which means that it just has one sound. So, so you got she and Tom. How do you pronounce that middle one?
The middle tam?
Sorry, I'll draw a circle.
Da. They don't say nane, no?
No, so that would just be non.
Oh, you know what happened? They showed me when I talking to you about my husband is learning Hebrew. You know what I told you, and they say me when that letter have a dot, the next letter have a sheva you can pronounce, and for that I do it.
Interesting. That's actually something different.
Okay.
There's not an example of that on this page, but I'll see if I can find an example on one of these pages to show you what he's talking about. But this page is different. That would be if what Lydia is talking about is that for some letters, if you have a dot inside of it, and this is, don't remember this after now because this just makes everything more difficult. For some letters, if you have a dot in the middle and there's a shva underneath, then you would pronounce the shva. So non, but that's not how it, but because that
Okay.
have a dot. So try that one again.
Nan.
Mhm.
Natam.
Right.
Natam. Entonces, and then say all the last word, say
Mhm.
chi natam.
Great.
Okay.
All right. And Dorothy, can you try the second word?
Ha, meet, na, shay, ha, meets, na, say, I'm sorry, say.
Great.
Ha meets na te. It's my say.
Try
I know
one
it.
more.
You want to say it again?
Yeah. And do it
Hamid
slowly.
Nasay. Hamid
There you go.
Nasay.
Nase. Good job.
Hamid-
Right. And Sandra, can you try number 3?
Wato Mim?
On number 3? Sorry. You got the last syllable right. Try the first one again. First and second.
Ra?
Nice.
Okay. Hey,
Very close. Pretend you got the consonant right. Pretend that this shva isn't here.
ha,
Hmm.
Jahamim,
Yeah. Rachamim.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Rachamim. Good job.
Rachamim.
All right. Rachamim is justice or loving kindness. All right. Bob, you've got a 4-syllable one.
Me?
Yes, you.
Shemach, di, Shem,
Right. Very, very close.
Sheem.
Yep. Very, very close. There's one consonant. What's this consonant?
It's a K or
It does make a K sound. It's called a kuf.
Kuf.
So say the syllable.
So Mach,
Great. So now try saying the word again.
Shemach, di, Shem,
Very,
Sheem,
very close.
Sheem.
Yeah, there you go.
Sheem.
The hardest part is putting all those syllables together.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
Shamach di, Sheem.
Yeah, shemak dishim. Nice. All right. And Dina, you get one that's 5 syllables.
Great. All right. I guess it'll be ba, to, ra, ta. What is that last one? Ka.
Bob's right on this one.
Let's see. That one last one is a
Oh,
is a
it's a
is that a cough with the ending one?
cough. Yeah, cough.
Cough. Okay. All right. So let me try again. Okay. Ba, to, ra, te, ka.
Nice. Now remember, when you have that shva, what sound does a shva make if you pronounce it?
Just
Yeah.
eh?
So you want it to sound more like
Eh?
bitoratecha.
Okay. Beto, okay. Beto, ra, Te. Ka.
No. Okay, what word is hidden in there? And anybody can answer. What word is hidden in there that you know?
Baroque. Baroque. Let's see.
Baruch is not in there. So in Betorah Techa, anybody can answer this, but is there a
Torah.
word in there that you know?
Torah.
Yeah,
Torah.
Torah.
Oh,
Exactly.
Torah.
Yeah, Betorah Techa, in your Torah.
Torah.
Okay. And Harriet, I'm going to ask you to say number 6, to read number 6.
That's a hard one.
Ma,
Me-
Ma-
me- me-
Makad,
Kadesh.
Kadesh,
Hmm?
Makad,
Nice, Mikadesh, great. So another thing to look at is that we see in even just in these practice words, we see a few words that have kuf daled shin in them. Mekadesh or makdishim. Any words with kuf daled shin in them, like kiddush or kaddish or kodesh, or kadosh, which we hear throughout services, means holy. So anytime we have any of those kuf daled shin words, that has something to do with holiness. So we've got about 5 minutes, but I think that's enough time to try one more thing. All right. So
Some shape. Some painting. Some shape.
what I'd love to try now is just a little bit of Kaddish. And before we read a little bit of Kaddish, just something that we don't often think about. When do we say Kaddish?
At funerals.
Right, at funerals.
We at Shabbat, we always say Kaddish.
We say Kaddish a lot on Shabbat, right?
Right, I think 3 times,
Mhm.
twice at least. I don't know.
At least 3 times. Depends on the day, but if we've got 10 people, we have a bunch of different versions of Kaddish, right? We have Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. That's the shortest Kaddish. We also have Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, B'yalma divrak yurtei, B'yamlich v'achutei, right? That's the longest Kaddish. We've also got mourner's Kaddish, right? So just a quick overview of what's in these Kaddishes, just because I always like to, before reading the Hebrew, I always think it's fun to just learn the English. Kaddish, we say it so often, it's not really about mourning, right? It's basically, when I try to explain it to kids, what I always say is Kaddish is yay God, right? So we say in Kaddish, may God's name be exalted and hallowed throughout the world that God created, as is God's wish. May God's sovereignty soon be accepted during our life and the life of all Israel. Let us say amen. So may we say yay God over and over and over again. May God's great name be praised throughout all time. Glorified, celebrated, lauded, worshipped, exalted, honored, extolled, acclaimed. May the Holy One be praised beyond all song and psalm, beyond all tributes that humans can utter, and let us say amen. So we say that's our short Kaddish in the purple. And that's the short Kaddish that we say just to say, okay, this part of the service is over. It's a pep talk. This part of the service is over. Let's keep going in the Shabbat service, right? Or let's keep going in whatever service we're in. But then it gets longer. Okay. In the longer Kaddish, Kaddish Shalem, that's Yikaral Yikara Shmei Rabbah. There's one line that doesn't show up in any other Kaddish. May the prayers and pleas of all the people Israel be accepted by our guardian in heaven, and let us say amen. Okay. And then both full Kaddish and mourner's Kaddish have the last 2 lines. Let there be abundant peace from heaven with life's goodness for us and all Israel. Let us say amen. May the one who brings peace to God's universe bring peace to us and all Israel. Let us say amen. So mourner.
Is there a reason why that blue line is not said all the time?
There definitely is. So why do you think in Mourner's Kaddish, we wouldn't ask, may the prayers and pleas of all the people Israel be accepted by our guardian in heaven?
Well, I didn't mean for mourner's cottage,
Mhm.
but,
Right. Well, so Chatzi Kaddish, half Kaddish, is a quick prayer. So half Kaddish just has the purple in it, and just kind of ends at the purple. It's just basically a pep talk.
When we do the regular mourner's Kaddish, is that a full Kaddish or a half Kaddish? I'm confused.
When we do the regular Mourner's Kaddish, that's the purple on the screen and the green on the screen, but not the blue on the screen.
Okay.
So Sandra asked a really great question though. Why would we not say the blue? What about the blue makes it not really fitting for a mourner's prayer?
well, I can see where it's appropriate, not for the mourners, but it just, I mean, it's such a great sentiment
Mhm.
otherwise to be, I would think it would be included in the half Kaddish.
Yeah, so that is a good question. That why isn't it included in the half Kaddish? I think I don't really have a good answer for why it's not in the half Kaddish, but it is in the full Kaddish. But I wonder with Mourner's Kaddish, what might in that one blue line, we're asking, may all of our prayers be accepted by God. What prayers might we have if we're in mourning that would not be accepted by God?
Maybe revenge or something.
Revenge,
Well-
just bringing. Mhm.
That whomever is terminally ill, that they not die. Or maybe if they were kind of bouncing on what Dina said, if it was a victim of an accident, revenge on the person causing the accident.
Right. Or even if we're saying it after death, that we could be with our loved one again. That's not a prayer that God's going to accept. And so it's during that time that that we remove that. That even in the full Kaddish, if we're in a prayer setting, we're saying the full Kaddish, and there's somebody who's in mourning in the room, and it's not Shabbat, we actually remove that line from the full Kaddish, so that it's not said in the presence of a mourner. But it is a good question as to why do we have that distinction between half Kaddish and full Kaddish in the first place? I don't really know the answer to that. I would imagine that different rabbinic texts talk about that there are two different versions of rabbinic texts that talk about it. But let's just take a couple more minutes. And I'd love to just try to read a little bit of Kaddish here. And let's see. So Lydia, can you read the first two words of, actually, Lydia, can you read the first line here as much as you can?
Okay, let me try. Yet Gada yet Gadash Sheme Rabba.
Great, right. And I liked how you broke up the syllables. You broke up all of the syllables. Dorothy, can you read this line?
Ba'alma di vara kerute.
Great, nice. And then Sandra, let's try breaking up at least this first word into syllables.
Yay. La ma li yeah.
So close. Let's take a step back. you got the first syllable you knew right off the bat. That was a separate syllable. Where does the second syllable end?
The, before the mem, before the m?
So not before the mem,
After the mem.
right? So we know that a syllable break always comes after a shva,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
and that this shva is
Sorry.
attached to this
Right.
vowel.
Yeah.
Okay. That we know then that this is a shva also, which is attached to this vowel. So that's the third syllable break. Does that make sense, Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we have that broken up, try saying it in those 3 syllables.
Vav, no.
Mhm.
Vav. Love? Okay.
You got the first right. The first is ve. Try the middle one.
Oh. Me?
So the first letter here is a yud, right?
Yum?
Yeah, there you go. So ve yam.
Lick?
Yeah, ve yam lich. Great. So now say all those 3 together.
The yum leak?
There you go. Ve yam lich. Great. And keep in mind that these words are tricky not just because they're long, but because they're a different
Language.
different language completely. Oops. Okay. All right. Dina, can you try this next one? This next word? And before you start it, can you tell me where the syllables end?
Okay, I think it's after the mem.
So
All
not
right, after the L, the lamed.
after the shva, because we know that the shva ends the syllable.
Okay, and then after the va, the and then after, well,
There you go.
I guess that's it, huh?
All right, so try it out.
Okay, mala. Yeah, okay, is that right? Mala. Ku. Teha.
So it's just one syllable.
Huh?
That last one's just one syllable.
Just te.
Yeah.
They really don't even need that H thingy in there, do they?
Not. If you want to be really fancy, you could say te, but you could pronounce the hey, but we're not that fancy here. So
Okay. So Shala Hu Te?
what was that first letter again?
Mal. Okay. Mal. Oh gosh. I lost again. Malhu Te, right?
Nice. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, all right, this one's a little bit tricky, and it's even trickier because I totally forgot to draw a vowel under this. So let me do that. Harriet, do you want to try this one out? before you try reading it, where does each syllable end?
The bet. Bet.
Bet.
Mhm.
Yud.
After that, you can remember that there's one vowel per syllable.
Oh, está difícil eso.
Bet. Bet.
Chaye Chom.
Chaye.
No diga.
So before, so where does the next syllable end?
Yud. The Yud. The Yud.
The Yud. Rich is telling me it's the Yud, so I'm going to listen to him.
Well,
The
there
Yud.
are two yuds. Is it before or after the yud?
Right.
Yeah.
After.
So there's one before the yud.
And one after.
After which one?
Right here. Right. And then this is cha.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it's 4 syllables. And Rich, I'm gonna request for you to just be quiet just for a minute so Harriet can find it out.
Rich can't. He doesn't know how.
I do enjoy hearing him read Hebrew though.
Ha, ha, ha.
You're right that it's becha.
Is that a V? V? Hayam?
Chom.
Try just the syllable here.
Chaye.
Chaye?
So if it's yay, what letters do you see there? It is yay.
Yeah.
Yud. Yud.
A Yud?
Yep. So there are 2 yuds. So it's becha yay. And then let's try this last syllable here.
Chom.
Home.
Chom.
I'm not in the class. Really Rich that's in the class.
But you're getting it. You are getting it. This one is bechaye chon.
Chaye home.
Chom.
Home.
Chom.
Home.
What is that? What's that last letter there?
Nun. Nun.
That's an N. Nun.
Yep.
Nun?
Nun, right. Bechaye chon. Right. That one is a tricky one. And I noticed that it's a little bit late. All right, so we have done a whole lot. You can even read multi-syllable words that are not even Hebrew. And raise your hand if you have a Siddur at home, if you have access to a Siddur at home.
Right. Yeah.
You raise your hand.
We do.
Well, everyone has some sort of, or most of you have access to a Siddur at home. If not, you can always
Right.
get one at the synagogue. And I would recommend just opening it up, and even in light pencil, or if you don't like writing in books, you can you can copy a page, and in light pencil write in syllable lines to figure out how to say these longer words.
Idea.
And even if you go to services and it seems like the words are going too quickly, there's a lot of mumbling in services, and you can always take time out during the mumbling to just focus on one line and try to read to yourself just that one line, see if you can get through it. And the Amidah is a great time to do that, right? The Amidah, yes, one way to do the Amidah is to read through the English, but another way to do the Amidah is just to focus on 1 or 2 lines of Hebrew. See if you can read through that. Even if, see if you recognize any of the words, because I would imagine that there are a couple of words like shalom or kadosh that you know, that you didn't even know you know, or mitzvot. So I would recommend practicing through that. And so next week we'll come back, and we're not going to be reading such long words, but next week I'd like to go through some vocabulary that you might see often in Torah and in prayer. So if you have words that you've seen over and over that you want to hear the definition of, or if you have a word in English you want to hear in Hebrew, let me know beforehand so that I can prepare that. And if you have any questions about anything we've learned, let me know beforehand, and I'm happy to go over that. Any last questions, comments, concerns before we head out for the day?
Oh, is Michelle back in the office?
Michelle is not back yet. She may be back. I don't know. We will find out if she'll be back momentarily.
Okay. All right. All right.
It was good having class with everybody.
Yeah, that was a good class tonight.
Thank you.
I get motivated once I start listening and looking up words.
We give them a half hour.
I get motivated when I see your cat walking across the street.
He doesn't, every night he has to come up here on his desk and walk in front of us. I don't know why. Ozzy's outside barking at something.
He's like, you're staring at this thing. I'll save you from staring at the wall.
You don't see it. She's sitting over here licking my fingers and all this other stuff.
It's like,
Pencils and.
it's like the kid.
Now Ozzy's in here.
It's like when you're on the telephone and that's when the kid starts pitching a fit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh boy. All right.
Well, okay. We'll see y'all.
Okay, I see you. Bye. Bye.
Thank
See
you.
you next week.
Bye.
Yeah.